everyone. My name is Alison Woodall, and I'm the guest interviewer for the Leaving California YouTube channel. And today I'm talking to Jessica Johnson and Cali Red, and they are realtors in Boerne, Texas. Hello, ladies. Thank you both for talking to me today.
Nice to meet you.
Well, Cali, I'm going to start with you. So have you always lived in Boerne, or have you lived anywhere else in the USA?
Right. No, I've not always lived in Boerne. I did spend some time in my youth in the Texas Hill Country, but I've been in Boerne for about 10, 11 years now. I was in the Hill Country a couple of years before that, just in a neighboring community. I've also lived all over Texas pretty much, and in Oklahoma and in Louisiana. Spent my early years of my life overseas, but have mostly been a Texas girl since then.
All right. Wonderful. And Jessica, what about you? Have you always lived in Boerne?
No, I haven't. I grew up in Houston and then moved to San Antonio, spent a year in India, then moved back to San Antonio. And for the last, 10 years, I've been between Boerne and Helotes.
Okay.
And I started this, yeah.
So I had a look on the map to see where Boerne was, because I actually lived in Texas for 6 months, but I lived in Paris, Texas, which is about 2 hours north of Dallas, very like in the middle of nowhere and lots of ranches and so much fun. But Cali, do you want to tell us a little bit about, Jessica, do you want to tell us a little bit about Boerne and what the area is like, and where you're located to start off with?
So our office is located off of Main Street, Boerne at 119 East Thyssen Road. It's right behind a very darling little place called Kiss the Cook. And there's a little bakery that's right in front of it. So Boerne, I think, was where Cali and I met and where we decided to start the Solid Realty Group and to get that going. And so we always wanted to maintain a small local expertise is what we wanted to do for Boerne and for the people that were coming there.
And Boerne is just, are you northwest of Austin? Is that where?
No, we're north of San Antonio, southwest of Austin.
Oh, okay. I knew that there was some, so the kind of Austin, San Antonio area. How long is it? I mean, are you commutable distance to Austin or to San Antonio?
Oh yeah, it's maybe 20, 25 minutes to downtown San Antonio from Boerne to get to the airport. And then to Austin, probably about an hour and a half. And again, like you talked about San Francisco, you've got the traffic. So sometimes it's a little longer because 35 is the easy ride up there, but they're very close. They're very manageable. And the Hill Country is kind of that area in between those two, which is what we tend to focus on.
Okay. So you're not really an Austin suburb. You're more of a San Antonio commuter place. Okay. Yes. Perfect.
And I think as San Antonio and Austin grow, I think those are going to keep kind of melding together, but you've got a lot of little towns in there. You've got New Braunfels and Seguin and Schertz and Boerne and Medina. And what else? I'm missing something.
Cali, can you add anything?
Right. Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily consider Medina in between Austin and San Antonio, maybe more Wimberley, but yeah, I mean, we definitely are a commuter to San Antonio. I mean, in the past few years, although we all may not like it as Boerneites, we do tend to get called a suburb of San Antonio these days. But we do have our own unique character about our little town, and we try to maintain that. That's one of our primary goals, is to maintain our own uniqueness.
Okay. So if I'm trying to think of all the cute towns that I went through when I was living in Texas, you have kind of small town feel, that small town community, but you are close to airports. You're close to, all the bigger things that come with being close to San Antonio.
Right. I would say it's probably 30 minutes, 35 minutes to the airport. We don't have a shopping mall in Boerne, but we're about 15 minutes from the Rim in La Catera, which is right up I-10. So that would be your closest shopping malls.
All right. And then presumably Boerne has like the big box stores, the Walmarts and that kind of thing.
We do have a Walmart and we do have an H-E-B. Those are one of our top 2 employers in the Boerne area, actually. Well, they're within the top 10. I think Boerne ISD is actually our top employer, but they're within the top 10 for sure. And those are our 2 main box stores now at this point. We don't have the other ones, but again, those are right down the street at I-10, about 15 minutes away.
I always think that when you live in a small town, you're moving to a town like Boerne for that community, for that small town feel. And, I do shop at Walmart, but if I can live in a small town and shop somewhere local, that's how you get to know your community.
Correct.
But a lot of people also move to Boerne for the schools. Okay. So of the 500 districts that are Boerne schools were in the top 500 schools nationwide. So both of our high schools. So we have a lot of accolades just for education. And then there's a couple of great private schools that are in Boerne too, that draw a big crowd. We've got Geneva, we've got Ambleside, and then there's
Montessori.
Yes, there you go.
All right, wonderful. Okay, because I know schools are a big, a big draw if you have kids. My kids are. I've got one middle schooler and about to be a high schooler. So when we decided where to move, that was a big deciding factor. Do you, in terms of college, if people have college age kids, would that be more like the San Antonio area for colleges?
Yes, we've got the University of San Antonio, UTSA, that's there. And then we have an incredible community college. It's the Alamo Community Group. And they have a lot of different small, like little universities that are around that people can go to for different trades, for different things, get their undergrad, move into UTSA, but kind of get the feel of it. So it's really nice. And actually they just got a huge grant from Kendra Scott, $15 million to help increase that as well. So we're bringing a lot of things from San Antonio into Boerne and into that.
It's called the Alamo Area Community College System, I believe is what it's called. And they have multiple campuses, and a lot of their funding actually also comes from the tax base in San Antonio and in Bexar County. So whenever you're looking at, because I know we're going to talk about property taxes as well, and when you're looking at your property taxes, that is one thing to consider when deciding between one of the suburbs of San Antonio, if you want to call Boerne that. I still have a hard time wrapping my brain around that myself, But yes, so San Antonio does fund that. But as a benefit, anyone who lives in that taxing entity does go there for a much reduced rate. So if community college is something that's interesting to you, then that's definitely a selling point for that community.
And presumably hospitals, you've got all the standard facilities that anybody, like a retiree or someone with health issues moving in the area, this hospitals are well provided.
Yes, we don't have a full hospital in Boerne, but again, that's in San Antonio. And we're 20 minutes outside of San Antonio. We do have an emergency room, urgent care clinics, plenty of doctors and whatnot, but hospital systems would be in San Antonio.
And for anyone who's not ever visited your part of Texas, just describe it. You say the hill country. I mean, is that low hills? Is that tall hills? Is it lakes? Just kind of describe what the hill country is like in your area for someone who's never been.
Well, I don't, it's not Colorado, so they're not mountains, they are hills, but yes, they're pretty steep hills and plentiful. We have a lot of rivers. I like the rivers around here. They're all, because of our topography, they're clear because we're not mud bottom, they're rock bottom rivers. So you have the Guadalupe and the Medina River and the Comal River, and they're great for tubing, what we call tubing in Texas. It doesn't involve snow at all. It's, on the river. And, the rivers are great for that. And then we do have lakes in Boerne. We have Boerne City Lake. And then there's Canyon Lake nearby and Medina Lake nearby. So.
And are they big enough lakes that you can put a boat on them, or are they smaller lakes?
Yes, Canyon Lake and Medina Lake, both you would be able to put a boat on them. Boerne Lake, we do not allow motorized vehicles, but there's a lot of paddle boarding and kayaking and whatnot that goes on out there.
Okay,
also the water system for Boerne uses Boerne Lake, and that's why they keep it that way, so it doesn't get muddled or dirty or anything in that. But they allow people to come out there. It's really beautiful. And fishing, they put fish in there every year, and there's a big fishing competition. The kids come out and they can catch things, and they have a what is it called, where you throw the frisbee golf. They have a great frisbee golf course that they set up there. And so a lot of families go out there. Again, like Callie was saying, that's one of the perks of being in Kendall County, that you get access to that. Whereas if you're coming in from San Antonio, there's a fee that you have to pay to get into, but the local residents get to access that, which is really nice.
Right. The city residents have free access to that. in Boerne itself, we also have a great trail system. Can't remember exactly how many miles we have now, but that skirts along the Cibolo Creek and other creeks in our area. So you can pretty much get all over town through our trail system.
Wonderful, because Californians always worry about leaving the ocean, and I always say when you live kind of on the plains or in central USA, it's lakes and it's rivers replace the ocean, and in some ways it's actually much nicer being in a lake because it's not salt water, it's generally warmer, and I would actually take a lake over the ocean. The ocean looks beautiful, but the waves are too big, or it's too, I don't know. So I'm always interested if there's lakes. So that sounds great.
Right.
What about your weather? Do you get very hot and humid in summer?
Well, we do get hot. It is Texas. I don't know what our humidity is, but it's certainly not Houston humidity. So, I guess it's all a matter of what you acclimate to. To me, it's not horribly humid, but I think other people might think it is.
Yeah, I lived in Tampa, Florida, and that was the most humid place I've ever lived in my life. And I spent my whole life with my hair in a ponytail. But I always think if the lifestyle that you have and your cost of living and everything about your life is amazing, there's always, life's 50-50. There's always a downside to someone. And if it's a bit of humidity, but you have lakes and you have a great cost of living and you have a community, I'll take bad hair days.
Right. Well,
perfect. Well, so you've given us a great kind of feel for what your area is like and the kind of the amenities and everything. So what is your market like? Who wants to lead with market stats?
Go ahead, Kelly. She's the expert on this one.
Oh, okay. Great. Thanks. Yeah. So I did see it. Right. No, our market is good. Houses don't stay on the market very long. We were having a really large inventory shortage earlier this spring. Now we seem to be leveling out a little bit, but they're still not staying on the market very long at all. I wrote it down. Let me put on my glasses. You were going to ask about, or I read in your suggested things to talk about, that just how many houses are in the inventory under 500,000, because people are worried about, just affordability. Mm-hmm. And so I did look yesterday, as a matter of fact, and in Boerne, there were only 10 under 400,000. So the average price yesterday was right about $1 million in Boerne proper. So I just searched the zip code. Now you can go out a little bit outside of 78006 and find a little bit more variety in pricing. But right now that's kind of where we're at. And if you put them up and they're priced right, they tend to go in a couple of days. So
for that million, because you say $1 million to me, and there's probably some Californians watching this who think that's reasonable. You say $1 million to me, and that I still consider Georgia home. So $1 million in Georgia is going to get you something pretty amazing. What does it get you in Boerne? What's $1 million house look like?
Well, it can look like a couple different things, right? Because we're growing at a very fast rate here in Boerne, and we have a lot more neighborhoods coming in that are building more homes on smaller lots. But historically speaking, we have not been that at all. We've been more homes on a couple of acres. So you can get a home that's, 10, 15, 20 years old on a couple of acres for $1 million, or you can get a very nice brand new home on maybe a half acre to an acre for that. So it really depends on what you're looking for.
Okay, but I mean, you're getting a decent sized house, because I know when I lived in Tampa, $1 million house, if you were in like the fancy part of Tampa, was not very big, and the lot wasn't big, but it was like a historic house. So when I think of Texas, I think of bigger houses. So your $1 million will get you like a 2,000, 3,000 square foot house, maybe.
Okay. So your $400,000 range is probably going to be more 2,000. 2,500 square foot. You're going to be much larger than that in the $1 million price bracket.
Okay. And so looking at your inventory, do you know if there are any houses in the, say, 200,000? Would you have to go very far out of town to get something, or is there just not that price point inventory?
Right. I didn't write that down specifically, but if you find one in 200,000, buy it right now.
Okay.
They just don't really pop up that often. Yes.
But really, there is a couple of towns that are within 10, 20 minutes that you can go, that you can get something in that price range. It's going to be different quality than what Boerne has, but it is available close enough to Boerne. So if you want to enjoy that lifestyle and come to Main Street and shop at the restaurants and all that, you can do that.
Right. And we don't only sell in Boerne, we sell in the whole hill country. So if even a smaller town is what you're looking for, then we certainly have those in abundance around this area as well. And we also sell San Antonio. So
oh, okay. So now that because I discovered from doing a lot of these interviews, because I don't have a real estate background, I just have that Georgia mentality where 200,000 10 years ago would get you a really good house in suburban Atlanta. And now obviously prices have increased, but I still have that Georgia mentality where 500,000 would be a high priced home. And so now I'm having to kind of adjust. So I'm trying to cater to people like me who may say, I really want to move to the Boerne area, but my max budget would be 300,000 or 400,000. So if people move further out of the suburban Boerne, then you could find them something affordable.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to move to the Texas Hill Country, we can get you here for 200,000, not a problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I'm taking your point because it's interesting to me because I've never lived in California. So I don't understand, like it's a difficult concept for me to think that a tiny little house would be $1 million. I know that's the reality, but I've never experienced that personally. So yes, I think you would be quite pleased coming from that, what you could purchase for $1 million here, or even for $400,000 here. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I put it this way. I'm renting in California because my mindset is I could not, I just can't get my head around spending, all my money on my mortgage. I want to have a house because you make your house, even if it's older, if it's smaller, it's the life that you build in that house. It's not necessarily that, perfect. It'd be nice to have a perfect house, but that's not where I choose to spend my money. I want to go traveling. I want to do other things. So then you can basically cater to anyone with any kind of budget, high end or more affordable.
Yes, absolutely.
And so then obviously you said that the more affordable houses go quickly. Would you, and I know you didn't look necessarily further out, but like if someone was looking further out and they were looking for a more affordable house, do they still go very quickly as well?
Well, if we're talking further out as in more rural, probably not. If you're going into San Antonio, the San Antonio market is extremely hot as well. So yes, they do go quickly, but that doesn't mean you can't get one.
Okay.
You just have to be ready. Well, your ducks in a row and be ready to go.
And presumably for you, a cash offer will get you, you'll be more likely to be accepted if you can do a cash offer.
It depends on the offer. Yeah. I mean, coming from the listing agent side, because I list homes as well, we get lots of cash offers and sometimes we take them and sometimes we take something else. It just depends on the offer. But yes, I know a lot of people are coming from California with cash, and those are certainly good offers as well.
Yeah. And do you deal with many people from California, or do you see that that's a trend with people moving from California, or do you still get people from all over?
We get people from all over, but yes, I would say the past 4 or 5 years, I've had more people coming from California or other states as well.
Okay. So Jessica, if you had to sum up the best things about your area to do like a promo for the Boerne area, what would be like your top 3 things?
Oh, that's hard because Boerne's so much fun. So, I mean, I think I would say probably the people first. It's just such a great community. And so is San Antonio. I mean, this whole area is just absolutely fabulous. And I think secondly, I would say like just the locals. So the local restaurants, the local shops, the local stuff, because if you go in there, a lot of times you're going to have generations of families that have set something up and done something and have had it for a long time, or just people that wanted to come in and, add a little bit of their flair to, life that's there. I mean, we can name a couple of restaurants and a couple of places that just, really brought that beauty into Boerne, and they keep Boerne in kind of the light that it's always been in and been known as. And so it's just a lot of fun to go out there. And, it's a nice slow pace when you go out there. People park their cars, they walk across the street, they get a cup of coffee, they walk to a restaurant, they shop a little bit, they go to the lake, they go to they go see the ducks. We still have cars that stop for 20 minutes while the ducks cross the road between between the street. It still happens. And I think that just is what makes it unique and fun and different.
Oh, wonderful. And Cali, what would be, would you agree with that? Is there anything you want to add?
Absolutely. I personally still live in Boerne, right a mile from Main Street. And my favorite is the historic Hill Country Mile. And that's what we call our historic area. It's downtown Boerne, and there's lots of shops and restaurants and a couple of little old historic hotels down there. And you can just come and shop and enjoy. And I'm down there multiple times per week, and I love it. I also love the trail systems. You can ride your bike on there. You can go for a walk or a jog, and you can go plenty far for me anyways, but so that never gets old. And I mean, what's not to love about Boerne? The people are the best. Yes.
Yeah. And Texans. I love Texas. Oh my goodness. I love that. You know, for me, because I've seen all 50 states. So some states I go to and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. But I so badly wanted to live in Dallas. And the only reason I didn't move to Dallas, this is 16, 17 years ago, was they didn't have a direct flight to Manchester where my parents lived at the time. So I chose to move to Atlanta because they had a direct flight. And then the rest is history. I met my husband and Atlanta became home. But I could so easily live anywhere in Texas. I always say there's like the North and the South, and then there's Texas. And the mentality is, it's when that huge winter storm rolled through, all I could think was, Texas will deal with it. It's that Texas mentality. We can do anything. And so I love everything about Texas. So
it has a unique heritage for sure. And Jessica actually has a funny story about that with her program. Jessica, what did y'all say whenever you were over in Italy?
So I got my master's through the University of Iowa in their Italy program. So I got to spend a year abroad. And so it was really funny because we had Americans, somebody from India, Nepal, Mexico, Slovenia, and then we had a Texan. And they used to tease me about it because they'd say, where are you from? And I would always say, I'm from Texas. And the other three people would say, oh, I'm from America. So my country of origin in my graduating class is Texas.
but it is. I mean, and Texas is big enough. It could almost be its own, its own country. Anyway, I love
Texas. Unique flair.
Well, anything that you want to add? I think you've done a great promo for Boerne. Now people know that there's very nice $1 million houses, but if you go a bit further out, there's very affordable houses too. Your outdoor living kind of stuff sounds wonderful. Anything you want to add before we finish up?
Well, I don't know if this is the appropriate time. It probably would have been better earlier in the interview, but I would say that the taxes are definitely different than they are in California, right? Because we do not have a state income tax. So our property taxes do tend to be a little higher, but when you average it all out, you're still probably saving money. But those vary from place to place as well. And in Texas, we have something called an ag exemption. So if you go to these places that are more affordable, a little further out, a lot of times you can qualify for that. So you need, if you come to Texas, get you an agent that's knowledgeable in the taxes and can explain that all to you for sure.
Perfect. Sorry, I forgot about taxes, and I know
it's okay.
Taxes are higher, but yeah, there's a lot of not having the state income tax is a huge bonus. But then obviously you've got to pay for services somehow. Well, what I will do, wherever this video is, down in the comments, I will put all your contact information. Is it best to call you on cell phones or office phones? How do you like to be contacted?
Well, our office phones are our cell phones.
Oh, okay.
So you can put both our numbers in there. Both Cali and I are happy to help, happy to answer questions, happy to get you engaged in Texas. Or even if you just want to come down and check it out, ask us for suggestions. We'll tell you some fun places to go, and depending on your area, exactly what it is you must see versus what you should see.
Okay. Right. And we do have a Facebook group that maybe we can link below as well. It's called Moving to Texas, All About Boerne. So that would be a great place for people to go and get in contact with us and get additional information about our area.
Okay, perfect. I will put that in the comments. Facebook groups are great because then you can actually ask a question and someone who knows the area can answer you, because there's a lot of people who can't actually go visit an area that they're moving to. I'd never been here before I moved here. I'd never been to Tampa before. It seems to be a pattern in my life. I moved to places that I've never actually been to, but now online you can do so much research and it gives you a really good feel. So that's good to know. And I will link to that in the comments. Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you talking with me.
Absolutely. It's nice to meet you online.
Hopefully you come to Boerne sometime too, so we can show you around.
I would love to.
Take you out to dinner.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.